thank you for attending this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously we're here to make a significant player announcement, and our new head coach Mark Rudan's first new player announcement in the rebuild of his brand new squad. Mark's been extremely methodical and extremely considered in his new player recruitment. It's been very important to us that we've got players coming into the club who are the right cultural fit, who espouse those qualities both as a club and as a team that were required for the new season. And Stephen is our first recruit that's met those requirements. I think you'll get a sense of Stephen and his character when you talk to him this afternoon. He's obviously got a wealth of Premier League experience, but he's also got a wealth of qualities that we've been looking for, including exceptional leadership and a really strong character as well. So I think the next step now is, you don't want to hear too much from me. Mark will have a quick chat to you about the process and what he sees in Stephen, and then we'll open up the floor to questions. So Mark.
Well, you've pretty much answered a lot of the things I was going to say anyway, but yeah, like I said, we take our time with our signings, particularly the visa spots and the foreign players in particular. We've identified the areas, and I've spoken to you guys as well, that I'm looking to fill. Stephen came across our desk, and like a lot of other players have come across, we highlight them in terms of importance, and he was high. He ranked quite highly there. So then we work and start on our normal, what is going to be the normal process at the football club. Very thorough, very methodical. We check out a lot of games. We have a look at the technical, the tactical and the mental aspect of each player. And if they check out, then we decide to go into the character referencing. And of course, Stephen checked out in all those three quite clearly. But it's important to bring in good people, particularly the visa players. We want good leaders as well. And we want to improve the level of professionalism at this club. We want our expectations to be extremely high. Mine certainly are. And then once the character referencing checks out, and we spoke to a lot of people, I found it extremely hard to find a bad word said about Stephen Taylor by any of the people, which kind of angered me because I wanted a little bit there from someone to say something negative. I just didn't get it for whatever reason. And it checks out. And then we spoke, and I liked what I heard with Stephen. And it was a very positive conversation with Stephen, and he just, if anything, reassured all the checks that we had put into place. Perhaps some of you might be thinking, why are we taking our time and why haven't we signed anyone? I make no excuses for that. I minimise risk as much as possible. We need to get it right. We'll get every single one of our signings right, and that's why it needs to, one, take time, and we go through a thorough process. But like I said, speaking to Steve, had a really good conversation with him, very positive, fantastic leader, and what he will bring to this football club, not just what he will bring into the dressing room and on the pitch. His quality checks out. You don't play over 200 Premier League games if you haven't got some sort of quality about you. He certainly has that. And again, like I said, what he's going to bring into the team. 2 years ago, there were a few injury concerns. Some of you may look into his history, and we wanted to check that out. Stephen, by his own ambition, felt as though he needed to look after his body if he wanted to get the most out of it. He dropped 10 kilos, and you can see just how good he looks right now. And it's why he played over 50 games in league and cup competition last year in what is an extremely tough competition to play in as well. So he's resilient. His coaching staff spoke the world of him. They would have re-signed him had he been another club. It just so happens that his club, the ownership went through a different model, and we were lucky enough to get someone like him. But it doesn't stop here. There's a lot of work to be done. Stephen's pretty clear on what my expectations are and the club's expectations are. But like I said, so far, extremely honoured to have someone of Steve's calibre, both as a player and a person at this football club.
Steve, what appealed to you about the Phoenix?
I think one of the positive things was obviously speaking to the manager before I come out here, and Michael Bridges as well. I played with him back in Newcastle, and he obviously knows the A-League very well, speaking to a few players out here. I think obviously playing against Wellington as well for Newcastle in 2014 was a big thing. I know it was a full house. It was a great, it was a great game for us. And to be fair, I think we actually should have got beat that game. Being around, obviously spent a lot of time with Newcastle around the place and had a look. So I think that was one of the positive things about it. Speaking to ex-players, managers back in the UK. Before I came out here, now it was a big decision. But I spent a lot of my career in England, and for me, when this opportunity came around, I wanted to grasp it. And for me, it's a massive thing. Played over 50 games last year, got the hunger, and I've changed a few things around what I've been doing myself with nutrition and looking after my body better, and felt so comfortable playing the games I did, 3 games a week. It was no issue whatsoever. And I think before that, a lot of people had some concerns. And once I had the pre-season under my belt, and I proved it all last year, and I'm ready to get started for a new chapter here, and obviously now get to train with the team. It's been positive. The lads have been fantastic towards me, and yeah, I just want to get cracking.
How important is your Premier League experience, both on and off the field, in helping this side get to where management, ownership want to get it to playoff appearances?
Like the manager touched upon, he's a winner. Myself as well, a winner, and your high standards. I think that's one thing we do is every day in training. It all starts there, and you got to breathe that kind of winning mentality in the squad. And we've got a group of players there who are hungry, and they want to go places. And for us, last year was a difficult year for the club, and now we're moving in a new direction, new manager, and everyone's back behind that. And I think for me to be part of this now is exciting.
You played in that game 4 years ago here. Did you think this could be a place I could play in a few years, and how much did that experience playing for this season?
At the time, it was just basically you come out here, and it took us back because you didn't know what to expect. I think as a place around here, walking around, and you see how big it is. Obviously, compared to Newcastle, it's very flat, obviously very hilly out here, and fantastic. I looked at the opportunity, I think, this end of last season, and it was something that definitely took the liking and excited us. It's a new challenge, and that's what I've always done all my career since a young kid, coming through Newcastle. Left school at 16, and then I had 7 centre-halves ahead of me, and every time you play for Newcastle is a big challenge, and I wanted something that's going to be like that, and it definitely is coming here. People say you got to travel a lot. It means nothing, because last year I was travelling 6.5 hours to games on a bus, get off, get your sleep, play the next day, so there's no issue there. It's all in your head.
And how long is the deal?
How long is the deal?
Yeah.
David, you want to answer that?
It's a 1+1
Is that a player option, a one, or
club option.
Stephen, I know when Paul Eiffel came here, he said that playing less games in a season helped him to elongate his career, even though you said you played 50-odd games last year and he got through obviously very well. Is there an attraction with a slightly less onerous schedule?
No, I'm just here to win games. That's what you play football for. Relevant how many games, if it's 50 games, 27 games, whatever it is. For me, you're coming here for one thing only, and it's to win as many games as possible. So you don't really look at it like that as a player. I think for me now, I just want to get the pre-season underway, get the game ready for the first game of the season.
Were you aware of the A-League, or have you become more aware since these conversations started about the strengths of the A-League and the working?
Well, it's televised, isn't it? And back on Sky back in the UK, so we do watch it. And obviously you see the games back there. So yeah, it's obviously televised. And the A-League, I think from 4 or 5 years ago, it's just got better and better. And the quality of players out here now, especially the marquee signings you see from the other teams, it's going to be difficult for myself and defenders. You see a lot of attackers are high quality. So like I said, that's another challenge for myself, and I'm looking forward to it.
When you come into this kind of environment with close to 200 Premier League caps under your belt, is there almost an extra level of expectation put on you? Do you feel that kind of pressure at all?
Pressure every time I walk on the pitch here. It was a pressure last year. People think you're coming from Premiership to League One. But you just got to work harder and outwork anyone who's in front of me, and it's important. You've got to keep your spot as the gaffer. If you're not doing your job, you're out of the side. He's made it very clear in our meetings that we've had and spoke on the phone and what he expects. And if you're not hitting that, you'll be out the side. So day one, you have to hit a certain body fat. I think was one of the main things, and glad I passed that. He was smiling. That's the only time I've seen him smile.
As has been touched on, I think already, it's been well documented. The club's not going through its most shining patch in the last few years. But how, from personal experience, when you were relegated with Newcastle in 2009
yep.
season, and then you bounced straight back up to the Premiership, how vital an experience is that? For example, if you're coming into a club that's looking for a lift.
It's the players, and it's mentality, characters of players as well. There's going to be times during the season where you're going to have a tough time. It could be a month of poor results, but it's about the dressing room, everybody keeping on board. You can see little viruses come round. I've experienced a lot, 15 years in different dressing rooms and different generation of players coming through, different mentalities. But what I have obviously experienced is you have to keep everyone together, and I think that's the most important thing. And the players who don't want to be there, they'll be gone. It's simple as that. And speaking to the club, they're on board with that. And that's one of the biggest things what we did when we got relegated. We deserved to get relegated, but we bounced back because we had hungry players who had a point to prove. At the end of the day, it was their careers on the line. If you don't bounce back from that, you're going to struggle. And that's one of the biggest things I say now is we have to perform this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Is there any update on Huawei's citizenship, and are you kind of prepared to wait that out in terms of signing?
Yeah, look, it's a discussion for another time. I think I made it quite clear last time I spoke to you that we'd like to have that done and dusted before the season starts. It gives me an option to get another visa spot. But like I said, this is the first visa signing that we've made, so I'd rather talk about Stephen. But just going back to some of the things that he mentioned, like I said, Stephen could have come and had offers to go elsewhere for a lot more money. I think you guys are all pretty clear on where we are as a football club, okay, and how things are done here. And he's chosen not to do that. I think it's a very important thing to take into consideration, is that speaking to him, and I don't want players to come here for the wrong reasons. Stephen decided to take this on because it's a challenge, and I think you heard it, and your question was quite pertinent as well about the mindset when you went down to go back up. He had something to prove, if you heard that. We needed to prove something to ourselves in the football club. They're the sort of characters that I want here as well. This club's got a lot to prove. Everyone here's got a lot to prove. So he's bought into that. And like I said, when he took his shirt off, I felt like doing 100 sit-ups and push-ups. I was embarrassed, right? But at the same time, he showed the level of professionalism that he's at. He's decided to go in his off-season to Dubai, and train himself and get a personal trainer while he's there. Now, they're you don't miss out those things. When players like that come around and tell you the right things, but more importantly, they walk the walk like Stephen has, I think it's a fantastic signing by the football club. And, there's a lot of positives getting Stephen first on board as a visa player. Sorry to stop you, mate. What do you want to ask?
I was just going to say that. How important do you think is having that sort of attitude of
extremely important
for your spot, but as well as the experience and the on-field skill set to
all
be
of
able
it.
to get this football club into
Absolutely, all of it. That's why he's become the first one. It becomes a snowball. It makes it easier for the next ones. And even right now, when there are whispers about Stephen signing, have I had a few agents of some high calibre players who are wanting to now jump on board? Extremely important, because I think I was quite clear in what I wanted to try and achieve with this football club and changing the mentality, the level of professionalism, the no excuses, right? That's what we're about this year. We're going to be taken seriously. Too often the last few years, people have spoken about this football club. Where are they going to finish? Down the bottom somewhere. Never in the top 6. Not this year. And if you want to take us as easy beats or a team that you can dismiss, good luck. Please do it. Please do it. Because he won't be the first nor the last. He's the first Stephen here, but he won't be the last in terms of the characters and the players that I want at this football club that's going to take us to heights that we've never reached before. And I think I've made that quite clear.
Almost following on from that kind of character element to it, there's a great video of yourself shoveling snow, I think, at Peterborough, fans chanting your name, I think, last season. How important is it for you to get the fans on your side? And I know you've won, I think, the Newcastle Sports Personality of the Year.
Yep.
How important is getting the fans on your side for you?
I was a fan, obviously, getting brought up on the terraces with my dad and playing for my hometown club. Yeah, it's fantastic. Score the winner, 2-1, 10 minutes to go. The referee's telling you the game's going to get called off. unless you can see the lines. So you grab a shovel, and you do what you have to do to win games, and that's what it's all about. And the A-League, that's what it's going to have to do. Speaking to the manager the way he wants to play, it's doing what you have to do to win the game, and that's all we care about, is win the game. That's all you guys are going to judge us on as well. So for me, it's we need the fans on board with us 100%. Everywhere I've been, I've always had a good following with fans. They've always interacted, but you've got to be that. You know what it's all about, especially when you watch football. You want to interact with it. You don't want to be end of the game the players just walking off. You've got to have that interaction, and I think they become a big vital part of what we're trying to do here. And yeah, obviously, if you want to write us off, let's do it.
And who are the players you spoke to prior to that? You spoke to?
Yeah, I spoke to Michael Bridges. He knows the A-League very well. Had nothing. He'd great words to say about the football club, and obviously Wellington as well. And for me, it was a no-brainer. And he's obviously from Newcastle, and yeah, I had a very good chat with him, and that was it for me. Just come out here, first day, see the boys doing the hill runs at the top, meet the manager, and then I just want to get cracking. But obviously, I've had to do visas and medical stuff, and now I can get down to the training regime.
How long have you been in Wellington for?
I came on Friday night. Yeah.
You're not doing your work very well. Aren't you a journalist? You should know the answer to that question. I thought you'd check out all the kind of, the ins and outs of the Wellington airport.
I just wanted to double check. I know it is slightly different. All the players that were off contract at the end of last season, have they all moved on?
Which ones are you talking about?
All the players that were off contract.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Oh, so, Ruther,
Yeah, what about him?
is he gone?
He's not training with us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, others like Galloway.
It's not to say that he won't be invited to come and train with us.
Okay. Scott Galloway, Daniel Mullen,
No, none of them.
so they've all gone. Okay. Is it coming home?
You're kidding, mate.
It's coming home.
It's coming home?
Yeah.
Great.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Well done.
Thank you.